Hello everyone and welcome back for some more Drag Race gossip, secrets and drama. So I'm back for another Roscoe's recap, and this viewing party was for season 15 episode 5, and the guests were season 15 contestants Sugar and Spice as well as Amethyst. We'll be discussing things such as Amethyst and Robin's relationship storyline, shady comments from the judges, and also the unaired drama between Sugar and Spice and Marcia Marcia Marcia. All that and more coming up in today's video, so let's get started. Please note that because we're going to be talking about the outcome of certain episodes of Drag Race, there is a spoiler alert in place for this video. So first of all, someone mentioned the Amethyst and Robin relationship storyline. Just to explain, Amethyst and Robin Fierce are both from Connecticut, and on the show, they mentioned that they had had a previous relationship, and it kept being brought up in the show, but the storyline itself hasn't really gone anywhere. Anyway, Naysha Lopez asked Amethyst if she thought the show was giving their relationship more significance than it needed. Amethyst replied and said, quote, absolutely. And Amethyst said that when she saw Robin walk in on the first day, she knew that she would have to address it at some point. But Amethyst said that she did not expect it to become the thing that it did. Host Caramel then asked if the relationship between them was long-term or short-term, and Amethyst said very short-term, and then went on to explain that it was just a hookup. Amethyst then said, quote, one of us wanted something more serious and the other did not. And everyone in the audience laughed, and it was implied as though it was Robin that wanted something more serious and Amethyst didn't, but Amethyst didn't confirm. Amethyst also explained that she didn't expect the show to make such a big deal of the relationship, and Naysha said that there was no breakup and Amethyst just ghosted Robin, which means that you don't reply to someone's messages, and Amethyst said, quote, pretty much. And then Amethyst went on to say, I 1000% own up to the fact that I'm a terrible texter and communicator. They then started talking about All Stars, and the other host, Batty Davis, asked if Sugar and Spice would ever go back for an All Stars, would they compete together or separately? And Sugar said that they would definitely do it separately. They elaborated and said that there was too much of a, quote, twin gimmick, and they don't get to show their own individual personalities. They then talked about the main challenge for that week's episode, which was the design challenge, and Sugar explained that her outfit was really fragile and she had to walk really carefully and not move too much, otherwise it would have, quote, bust out of the seams. And Amethyst said that it was a similar situation for her, and she said that her outfit was all safety pinned at the back and she wanted to cover it up. So at the last minute, just before she was about to walk out to film the runway, she grabbed that fur piece so that she could use it to cover up all of the safety pins at the back of her garment. Batty then asked if the queens had been given any feedback from the judges that they could have worked on. Amethyst said that she was criticised for not wearing padding, but she explained that all of her outfits were fitted to her unpadded body, so there was no room for pads. Amethyst said that Irene Dubois had left her pads for her, but Amethyst said that Irene's pads were way too big, quote, because she's fat. A few people in the audience seemed shocked, and Amethyst joked and said about Irene, quote, girl, she talked bleep about me last time she was here, I don't effing want to hear it. I think what Amethyst is referring to is that when Irene was at Roscoe's 2 weeks before, Irene had said that Amethyst and Robin were, quote, C characters, implying as though they were not the main characters of the season, and said that nobody cared about their storyline. So I think Amethyst was just making a joke about Irene, but it wasn't serious. Amethyst then said she wanted some constructive criticism from the judges so that she could work on things, but then she said, quote, which I never got from Ross Matthews. And Sugar then said about Ross, quote, still waiting for a funny joke. Amethyst then explained that Michelle Visage at least gives constructive feedback and gives you things to work on, but she said that Ross Matthews, quote, just sat there and insulted my look the entire time. Amethyst then did an impression of Ross Matthews and said that he said, quote, you know when you're 8 years old and you get out of the shower and you wrap a towel around you like you're wearing a dress? That's what this reminded me of, and it didn't work. And everyone laughed at Amethyst's impression of Ross, and Amethyst then said about Ross's critique, quote, what the F am I supposed to do with that? Sugar then said that she was done with Carson Kressley, and explained that Carson said something to Sugar during the runway for the Snatch Game episode that was cut out. Apparently, Carson said that for Snatch Game you need to pick icons, and said that Trisha Paytas is not an icon. Sugar then mentioned the YouTube video that she had done with Trisha Paytas and said that they cut out a part of the video where they were talking about Carson, and Trisha said, quote, "What does he even do? He's from Queer Eye from 2001, girl bye." And this got a big laugh from the audience. They then talked about the walkthrough for the Snatch Game episode, which was not aired, and Sugar said that it was good that they didn't show it because RuPaul apparently said, quote, "some very interesting things," and Sugar questioned whether they would really show it on TV, implying as though RuPaul said something inappropriate. Spice then said that during the walkthrough, RuPaul made Lucy LaDuca spin around so he could look at Lucy's ass. And Amethyst confirmed this and said that RuPaul asked Lucy, quote, "have you got an ass?" and then made her spin around so he could see it. They then started talking about Snatch Game, and the host, Caramel, asked Sugar and Spice if what we saw on Snatch Game was actually how it went in real life. And Sugar said, quote, "it was way worse," and everyone laughed. Just to explain, in the Snatch Game, Sugar played Trisha Paytas and Spice played Miley Cyrus, and neither of them did a very good job. Sugar then elaborated and said that what we saw on TV was only about 5% of what actually happened during Snatch Game. Spice then added that she thinks that Sugar was edited to look more safe than she actually was, and apparently Sugar was criticised for not going big like Trisha. But apparently Sugar did go big and, quote, channeled full-on troll, but it was all cut out. Sugar said that she was totally going off script and said, "I think that's why I got the axe." Sugar went on to say that at one point she yelled at RuPaul while in character and told Ru to stop flirting with the pit crew, but apparently RuPaul was not liking her jokes and, quote, looked at me with demon eyes. He was like, "Girl, you're gone." The hosts then brought up that Sugar had posted on social media after her elimination, saying that she had something to say at Roscoe's and asked what it was, and the audience cheered. Sugar then joked and said that she was in her, quote, PR Polly era, and said that she couldn't say exactly what it was, and Spice interjected and said, "We've already said too much." But Sugar elaborated a bit and said that after you're eliminated, you're held in a small room where you have to just sit and wait for a while before you're allowed to leave. And she said that she was, quote, a hot mess and she was crying. And apparently when she went back to her hotel room, quote, "a little magical fairy came to my room and told Sugar a lot of information." And apparently Sugar was able to get closure about her elimination, but she said that she couldn't say exactly what she was told, but, quote, "maybe one day we'll be able to talk about that." So from what Sugar said, it sounds like Sugar was told some backstage tea by maybe one of the producers, and then maybe there was some shady reason why she got eliminated, but she didn't confirm exactly what it was. Spice then mentioned Marcia 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 and said that there had been some unaired drama between them. Spice explained that there had been a whole storyline in the previous episodes that Marcia needed to use more makeup because the judges had critiqued her for not wearing enough. So apparently in the workroom during the Snatch Game episode, Sugar and Spice said to Marcia that they would, quote, "sugar and spicify you" and give Marcia some of their eyelashes, and they helped her out with her makeup. But then when it came time to the main stage critiques, apparently Michelle asked Marcia who helped her with her makeup, and Marcia immediately said Luxe Noir London, and that was it. And Sugar and Spice said they looked at each other because they were confused why Marcia didn't acknowledge them. And Sugar and Spice were apparently whispering to each other, saying that they should say something to the judges about it. And Spice said that she normally didn't argue back with the girls if something happened, but this was, quote, "the one time I did stick up for myself." So apparently when it came time for Spice's judges' critiques, she looked over at Marcia and said, quote, "and to Miss Forgetful Freddy down there, whose lashes are you wearing again?" And then Marcia replied and said, quote, "oh yeah, Sugar and Spice's." And apparently Michelle then said to Marcia that she should take makeup tips from Sugar and Spice. And Spice then said to Marcia on stage that she should give credit where credit is due, and Spice said that it was the one time I got a little spicy. And Spice added that it was so petty and stupid, but she felt like because Sugar and Spice were in the bottom that week, Marcia just thought she wouldn't acknowledge their help and, quote, "she was trying to kick us while we were down." Naysha then said in general that it seemed like a lot of stuff was cut from the show. So she asked Sugar and Spice if there were any other moments that were cut out that they wished had been kept in. Spice said that there was a moment during Untucked for the Snatch Game episode that she wishes had stayed in. Spice said that because she's a big fan of Tyra Banks, she wanted to recreate the famous moment from America's Next Top Model where Tyra faked passing out and fell on the floor and then got up and said, "I'm acting." So apparently, when Spice was in Untucked after Snatch Game, she pretended to collapse on the floor and then got up and said, quote, I'm acting. Since Michelle Visage thinks I can't act, I'm acting." And Spice said that the other girls believed that it was real, but then Amethyst interrupted and said, quote, "No, we didn't," and everyone laughed. And Spice said that because she felt that the whole situation that episode was so produced, she said, quote, "I can give you produced and contrived, I can give you fake." They then moved on to the audience Q&A section, and someone asked the queens what their relationship is like with their families. Just as some backstory, in the Untucked episode for Snatch Game, Sugar and Spice implied as though they don't really have a good relationship with their family and that their family was not very supportive of them doing drag. But Sugar and Spice said that their relationship with their family is now much better, and they were worried that on the show it would look like they were, quote, bashing their family, but this was actually never the case. Caramel then brought up the fact that fellow Season 15 contestant Mistress Isabel Brooks has reportedly adopted Sugar and Spice into her drag family, and Caramel asked if Sugar and Spice would be taking the last name Brooks. And Spice explained that what you saw on the show wasn't the whole story, and a whole part of the storyline got edited out. Apparently, what actually happened was that Mistress became Sugar's drag mom, and Malaysia Baby Doll Fox became Spice's mom, and they were like a quartet. And Spice said that she really bonded with Malaysia, and they talk every day on the phone, but they never showed that storyline on the show. Another audience member then brought up the fact that Mistress Isabel Brooks had been having some issues on social media and asked if Sugar and Spice had talked to her about it and asked what fans can do to help. Just to explain, I did talk about this in my previous video about the drama from season 15, so make sure you check that out and I'll put a link in the description. But basically, Mistress's Instagram account keeps getting suspended because apparently lots of people were reporting Mistress's account for abuse because they didn't like what she had said to Marcia 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 in Untucked and thought that Mistress was bullying Marcia. And Mistress's account has been suspended multiple times now on Instagram. Anyway, Sugar then said that Mistress had joked that, quote, Marcia doesn't have enough fans to cancel me. And then Spice also implied as though Instagram was suspending Mistress's account because her name is Mistress and it could sound as though it's something like an OnlyFans account or something inappropriate even though it isn't, so that might be part of the issue. And Sugar said that it's, quote, a bummer that her account keeps getting shut down because this is the time when the contestants are on the show and they get the most amount of attention on social media. And if their social media accounts get suspended, it can affect their careers and also their connection with the fans. Host Patty Davis then added that Mistress had been getting a lot of hate online because she's an old school queen who likes to, quote, read other queens down, and said that some of the younger audience, quote, don't understand it and are a lot more sensitive in that way. They then talked more generally about the things that were edited out of the show, and Sugar and Spice said that for the lip sync between them in the Snatch Game episode, a lot of it was cut out. Apparently they had a whole bit where they had fake teeth throughout the lip sync, but it was all cut out. And Sugar said that the lip sync was even crazier than what you saw, and apparently Sugar even got on Spice's back and rode her like a cowboy. And Sugar said that it was even more cringy in real life than what they showed, and Spice wondered why they edited it out. And finally, Caramel brought up the fact that the first group of girls in episode 1 had Ariana Grande walk into the workroom, whereas the second group had Vivacious, and Caramel asked if they were annoyed about that. Sugar said that she found Vivacious, quote, fascinating because I could tell that she was in such a bad mood. And Vivacious apparently wasn't looking at any of the girls and just looked straight at the camera the whole time. And Amethyst agreed and said, quote, she was giving I'm paid to be here. And Sugar said that Vivacious has been really sweet online and they really do like her, but she was clearly just there to collect her check, but they loved how unbothered she was during filming. So there you go, there was the Roscoe's recap for Season 15, Episode 5. What were your thoughts on this episode? And what are your predictions for the rest of Season 15? Let me know in the comments. Please make sure you like, comment and share this video as it really helps support my channel. And of course, please make sure you hit the subscribe button to stay up to date about new uploads. Thanks for watching, and I hope you'll join me again in future videos. Thank you, bye!